So what we've done is we've tightened up that loophole. First, you don't get work disability anymore unless you've got at least 7.5% permanent impairment of function. Okay, so that means that's a medical rating that the doctor has to issue. In fact, you have to get 7.6 because that was a big fight because we figured there are a lot of those 5 and 10 and you split them and it's 7.5 or somebody splits them. Now, the judge we were talking about find 7.6 probably in a lot of these, but you know, I mean, truthfully, at 7.5 they can't get it. And so the point is, for the cases with the lower level functional impairment ratings, they shouldn't be given work disability. Second, if they have prior impairment and if it's added, they have to get at least a 10% to get to work disability. Now, the task loss and the wage loss now will have to be caused by the accident. You can go ahead and flip that. What we've done is task loss now is the worker's loss of ability to perform tasks in the last 5 years of employment instead of 15. So like if they're working for you, at least, you know, you kind of know what they were doing, and if, you know, you can get a real task loss as opposed to something they invented and you've never checked. And also, if they had task loss before, then those don't count. Right now, they get to count them twice. They got to count them on the last one, and they get to count them on this one. Now you won't be able to do that. If you had restrictions before, all those tasks go away, and they don't get credit for those. Go ahead. Let's go. Wage loss now becomes the difference between the average weekly wage the employee earned before the injury and the average weekly wage the employee is capable of earning after this accident. Does that make more sense? So what we've done is we've created a capability standard. You know, what can they do? So the guy can't any longer decide he wants to stay home, or he can't just quit. You know, if they do that, then you can establish one. If you make a good faith offer of employment, or you accommodate the workplace for him, and you prove that, then you can, again, defend the work disability case. And that's the last line where we say refusal of accommodated work within restrictions at a comparable wage results in a presumption of no wage loss. What we're saying there is that you have employers now who are offering work to injured workers. And the workers are saying, no, that's all right, I'd rather not. And they're getting the big number. Now, under this standard, you make the offer, you prove you made the offer, you say come back. Once you do, it's a presumption that there's no wage loss. Once there's no wage loss, there's no work disability. Okay? I want everybody to understand this because this is a real key piece of what we've done here to it, because this Bergstrom case has just been a real disaster. So does everybody understand that we're going to go from a situation where the worker essentially, if they want to, can ring up 100% wage loss and there's nothing you can do about it, to where now the employer is back in control if they want to accommodate, and that there has to be a capability standard as opposed to an actual pure wage loss. Is that all clear? It's really important. Okay. A few minutes. There are a few changes in the procedures. We can go forward. I'm going to talk about, we have new caps. So your death case will be worth $300,000 now on the cap, on the high end. There's some technicalities on that I can talk to anybody about if they ever had that situation with minor children. They go up to age 18. Permanent total cap goes to 155 from 125. PPD cap goes to 130. The permanent impairment of function cap goes to 75. And what's important about that is the courts have essentially eradicated the functional cap. They said if you got TTD, the functional cap didn't apply. We closed that loophole from the last legislation. So now the most you pay on a functional case is 75. So know that. Let's go to the next one. The average weekly wage calculation is really critical in a work comp case because everything runs from how you calculate an average weekly wage. The problem has been that full-time hourly workers get to multiply 40 hours times a wage rate, add the overtime, and if they lose fringe benefits, they add those too. What would happen in a lot of businesses is a guy will work 16 hours a week one week, 24 hours one week, 32 hours one week, and yet you're multiplying the 40 times the hourly rate, and you're getting this artificial wage rate. You calculate every benefit you calculate is based on that average weekly wage, including the wage loss on the work disability. So even on a functional case, your lost time benefit, everything was calculated off of it. What we've done is we've changed it to where all you do now is you take the last 26 weeks' work before date of accident, and you add and divide. So if they work 15 weeks, you add and divide by 15. You'll actually get what they really were earning as opposed to this false wage that you had before. That's going to affect things way across the board. This is something that you may say, you know, that you won't hear a lot about, but it's critical. It's a really key change. So, okay. I think now we're right about 3 o'clock. I don't think there's any. Go ahead and flip forward and see. Let me see if there's anything on. Yeah, this is still kind of an issue. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we're at 3 o'clock. Right now, the bill's passed the House with our agreement. There's some amendments tacked on. The Senate's looking at it. That'll be happening. You know, I'm an attorney. I don't, you know, I'm not in the legislature. If somebody wants to ask me anything about how that's going to go or how that works or whatever, you really should ask somebody else. You know, I can tell you how the law will work, and I can tell you how to defend your case and all of those things, but I do feel good about the changes and the key changes, and I do think that you'll be able to tell your clients that they should expect some more fairness in the system as it goes forward. The one thing we gave up, because caps hadn't risen for 17 years, we knew that they were going to happen, is the bilateral upper extremity injuries and lower extremity injuries, our body as a whole injuries again, which they had been for close to 100 years since the invention of harm. So anyway, that's all I have, but if you want to catch me, I'm happy to answer anything.